Today we're getting into something really common for English learners, that moment when you want to say something, but your brain kind of automatically builds the sentence in your first language, and then you try to translate it.
Yeah, it feels like you're constantly playing catch up.
Exactly, like you're always a step behind the conversation. So we've been digging into a bunch of sources here, notes, articles, and they really focus on this specific challenge.
Yeah.
How to stop translating into English.
Right.
And actually start, thinking in English. So our goal for this deep dive is really to pull out the practical strategies from all this material. We want to help you kind of bypass that internal translator.
Yeah, and get your thoughts forming directly in the language. And honestly, it's a real breakthrough point for a lot of learners. When you connect it to actual fluency, the sources really argue that this is where that spontaneity comes from, that ease. Until you train your brain to think in English, you're basically just adding this extra slow step every single time you speak.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. Why do we even do that? The translation thing. The sources describe it as like the default mode when you're starting out, right?
Totally. You're trying to connect the new language to the system your brain already knows well, your native language.
So you build the whole idea there first.
Exactly. But the problem with that, as the sources point out, is the friction it causes. Thinking in one language and then translating word for word into English, it rarely works perfectly.
Because the structures are different.
Yeah, sentence structures, idioms, just the way things are phrased, it's different. And that's where you get bogged down, You feel less confident because you're always searching.
Right.
And conversations just, they slow right down.
Yeah, it's like trying to build IKEA furniture with instructions translated badly from another language.
Good analogy, yeah.
Versus just knowing how the pieces click together. The sources really highlight that when you manage to shift to thinking directly in English, that whole translation step just vanishes.
It's gone.
And your speech becomes faster, more natural.
Exactly, less effort.
Yeah.
You're just communicating, not decoding.
Okay, so the million-dollar question then. How do you actually make that shift happen? The material we looked at, it lays out a pretty practical step-by-step approach. It's not like a magic wand.
No, it's about building habits.
Yeah.
Consistency.
And the very first step they all seem to emphasize is, start simple. Really simple.
Yes, this one's key. It's foundational. You're literally building a new pathway in your brain. Training your English brain, as one source put it quite nicely.
Your English brain, I like that.
So it means deliberately practicing with really basic vocabulary, the simplest sentence structures you know.
Like really fundamental stuff. The examples in the notes were things like, I am going to work.
Yep, I am eating lunch.
The sun is shining, stuff like that.
Exactly that kind of thing. The point is to consciously form those simple ideas directly in English. No detour through your native language first.
Okay. So you're proving to yourself, even with tiny sentences, that you can skip that translation step.
Precisely. You're not aiming for, complex philosophical thoughts here.
No, yeah.
You're aiming for directness, automation, just at that very basic level first.
Okay. So building on that simplicity, the next step the sources really recommend is focusing on learning word chunks.
Yes, word chunks. This makes a lot of sense, actually. Your brain naturally recognizes patterns, right? Units of meaning.
Okay.
So instead of seeing, say, can I help you as 4 separate bits you need to glue together, learning can I help you as one single chunk means your brain just grabs it as one unit for one job.
I see. So it's much faster in a real conversation.
Way more efficient. That's what the material suggests.
They're like these ready-made phrases you can just pull off the shelf when you need them. Saves you the mental construction effort.
Totally.
The examples they gave were things like, I don't think so.
Classic. Or, that's a good idea.
Right. These aren't just collections of words. They're like functional tools for communication.
And learning them like this, it just massively reduces the cognitive load,
Right. Your brain isn't juggling translation and assembly.
It's just recalling a pre-built structure. Much easier.
Okay, this makes sense. And this leads into a step that maybe sounds a little strange at first, but the sources really emphasize how powerful it is. It's about dedicating time for silent thinking, just thinking in English.
Yeah, it seems a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? Language is about talking to others.
Right.
But the real training often happens inside your head first. And the suggestion is usually pretty manageable, like just 5 or 10 minutes a day, set aside specifically for this.
And what do you think about during that time?
Just narrate what you're doing. Or what you see around you.
So I'm pouring coffee, my computer screen is bright, that kind of thing.
Or I need to send that email later. Or even planning. Tomorrow I will go to the gym. Simple stuff. And the material really stresses that consistency is the key here. It's the magic ingredient. By regularly doing this, even silently, you're actively building the habit of thinking directly in English.
You're making it more natural for when you actually need to speak out loud.
Exactly. You're building that internal monologue, but in the target language.
Okay, so we've got the basic steps. Start simple, learn those word chunks, dedicate that silent thinking time, but how do you make it stick? How do you practice effectively?
Well, the sources just keep coming back to practice, practice, practice.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right? And one way is simply repeating phrases aloud or even silently. It helps build that muscle memory.
So saying things like, I'm opening the door, I'm making tea.
I'm reading a book.
Even just saying these basic descriptions helps reinforce those direct English pathways.
Yeah, repetition helps move these phrases from something you have to consciously construct to something that feels more automatic.
Which frees up your mental energy for harder stuff later.
Exactly.
Okay, so now here's something really practical. A challenge, actually, straight from the source material for you, the listener, to try.
Ooh, okay.
They suggest picking a really short, specific block of time in your day, like 5 minutes, something totally routine.
Right, like maybe when you're brushing your teeth in the morning.
Yeah, or walking to the bus stop.
Or waiting for the kettle to boil. Something defined and repeatable.
Exactly. And during that specific 5 minutes, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to consciously try and describe everything. Everything you're doing, seeing, maybe even thinking, but only in English.
Even if it's just simple words.
Even if it's super simple.
And the sources are really clear on this. Don't worry about perfection.
No pressure.
Zero pressure about grammar mistakes or searching for words. That's going to happen. It's totally okay. The whole point is the attempt, the consistent repetition of trying to make that direct connection in English.
So every time you try, you're strengthening that new pathway.
That's the idea, strengthening that English brain.
Okay, cool. So let's kind of wrap up this deep dive. We've looked at why that translation step can be such a barrier. And we've pulled out 3 core strategies from the sources. Start simple, build with word chunks, and train with silent thinking time.
Plus that very